Hello. So this is the next episode, yeah, and I'm going to call this Poornapragnya, yeah. So I've been telling this is again an attempt to voice out the thoughts, ideas that's informing medicine intelligence, but more in terms of what it takes to be a humane being. Yeah, what does it mean to be a human being? To have a body that's human. And it's more than just meaning, it's about the design of a human being, which we have not been able to appreciate because of lack of perspective, because we did not have facets by which to appreciate. We didn't have sufficient information before we could see this object, this body that we have, and then see this is more than what we just see. It must be something else. It's, if you've heard of consciousness looking at itself, yeah, consciousness appreciating itself to and then see what is and what's not. So we look out, see many things, but have a difficulty looking at ourselves. Even if we look at the mirror, we change it, put on makeup, do many things, and then alter what we are seeing, because what we are seeing is also not sufficient, yeah? And then we need to change it, make it better. But we haven't been able to see ourselves, yeah? Even if you're just looking in the mirror. Because a human being is an n-dimensional organization. And our different ideas of dimensions, we see 2D, 3D, 4D, and then they say, these 4-dimension, 5-dimension, it's difficult to even represent in a, say, using a software, yeah? And what we are not able to see outside, represented in an image or a picture, we cannot conceive of it, make sense of it or see it. If we are not able to visualize it, we don't get it, apparently. Yeah? Which is also why when we look at the mirror, and when we can't see all the dimensions, all the aspects that make a human being, we go try and fix and change and make changes. But we have been having diseases, and they have been looking into why we have diseases, why we have economic concerns, and why people die. Well, at least that's been my inquiry. But at least let's just stay with diseases. Why we have been studying the same human body since a long time, but we have diseases. And we have different systems of medicine to address diseases of the same human body, which has been being studied since a long time. Yeah? So one of the reasons for that is perspective, appreciation of what is a human body. What does the design of a human body entail? Okay? Yoga has been at least the tradition of yoga and Sanatana Dharma. We may have been reading the textbooks, but not quite appreciating where to see that from, or how did they arrive at, for example, there is a mantra by which they have discovered the distance between Earth and the Sun, when there was no telescopes yet discovered. And then they say, we've forgotten that technology, but maybe not, because there's a saying of, this was the telescope was not discovered until a long time later, but how did they arrive at this calculation? Yeah. Now I'm sounding like somebody else who makes videos, ancient text, but what I'm talking about as the different concepts that needs to be appreciated, by which the how of it, or what does it mean to have a body that's human? Yeah? What does being alive on Earth at this point in time, with the technologies we have, with the English that I'm speaking in, yeah? And for us to be speaking in English, one language across boundaries, has taken some time, including colonization and many, many, many facets. And then for the internet to form, first the computer had to be formed. And then people had to think in terms of codes and then put them together, yeah? Or how to connect one computer from one distance communication, like telephone. Yeah, one person speaks from here, somebody picks up there, and you're still listening. And then fax. And then the internet had to come. it's a development from one idea to another idea to now, okay, now computer to computer. And then what does it take to bring this communication faster is also how the internet came about. Yeah. And now it's a way of life. It's taken stages of development. So now when I'm speaking in terms of Poornapragnya, now Poornapragnya is a word that has been around in terms of yoga, in terms of many paradigms of thinking. Consciousness, conscience, these are still hard problems of, for science, these are hard problems. It's called the hard problem of consciousness. There may have been a lot of breakthrough, understanding, perspective since then, but still Poornapragnya is a sought after by spiritual practitioners and many other, and it's as though you can keep trying for it, and there are many weird ideas of what that is, of what Poornapragnya is. Now, I'm speaking in mice. When I look at the world from the many years of work that I've been doing, and then studying different people's work, and then looking at problems, for example, the list of diseases that WHO has been maintaining, awaiting solution, I started looking at life from another perspective, an out-of-the-box perspective, which turned out to be the inside-out perspective, which I didn't know I was doing that. But I'm not like, out of life and then looking at it and then back here. That's not what I'm doing. So I have an inside-out approach, inside-out appreciation of life, which people may be searching as singularity, Advaita, and those kinds of, it's sounding like an esoteric concept, because a lot of people, even science people, say the math, the calculations, your idea of physics breaks down when it comes to what is called a singularity. And so it's very understandable when people are not able to get what Advaita is and singularity is, and what I'm calling as Poornapragnya. So these are some of the words that I've been using. So once we are a little more familiar with these terminologies, with my language, medicine intelligence language, I call it mice, but it's also my language. This is how I speak, and then I'm also speaking from the paradigm of medicine intelligence and what that makes available. So it's just convenient, and once we are kind of more familiar with what's the language I'm speaking, it's also an enterprise. I have a business in facilitating original humane intelligence. So it's like the new internet, yeah. And this is a new, what I'm bringing forth is a new epoch in what it means to be human. And when we say the internet, where each person may be regarded as a computer, well, for want of a better word, if we have a network of computers, then there's the intranet between computers, and then there's the internet, one computer here, another computer somewhere else, and another side of the globe, and still connected. So there's the internet that connects communication between. So, which may also be the idea of the Bluetooth, maybe a little bit, yeah? There's specificity, and then there is low frequency, and then high specific communication. So we have these words, we have these ideas from which to talk about what I'm calling as a new epoch in what it means to be human. So we have the computers, we have these icons, these ways of working. You can bounce off of that to kind of understand more on what is possible from being human. Okay, we're not even beginning to talk about it. Okay, let's just talk in terms of Poornapragnya today. Yeah, Poornapragnya is not an option. It may have been sought for since many times, but Poornapragnya is like when you wake up in the morning. Until you wake up, you're asleep, yeah? And once you wake up, you kind of stretch, and then you see what's there, and then you see what is possible in the day. what is there to be done, what can be done. It's like that. Poornapragnya is like that. Until you wake up, you don't really know what is possible in being alive, what is there in life, what I can do to make things better. So until you wake up, you're not really woke, like in the morning. So Poornapragnya may have been seen as an option, or as, I have to one fine day. Yeah, it's more like we've had many generations of trauma, gas chamber, many kinds of things. So our sense and sensibilities may have gone a little asleep, a little anesthesia. Yeah, and then we have been having also, for example, crocin. Yeah, now it is listed as banned medication, but there have been generations of people who have been having these kinds of medication. Yeah, crocin has been for fever. I've had many, and to that extent, my sense and sensibility has been dulled. Yeah, and then, but I still go to school and do all my stuff. But how awake am I depends on how much of these stuff I've had. So how much have I been like a mummy? Yeah, down and under, until the conditions are more conducive enough for these, for another seed in my substance to wake up, and then, oh, there's light, now I can do this too. And then you start doing a little bit of exercise. It takes a little effort, and then you're doing that, and then you have another creative maybe, or another idea, and another comes up with, I have an idea, you can solve the problem with, I've been doing this in some time. So in that sense, somebody is now woke enough to see another solution to a problem we've been having since some time. So I've been doing this in some time. Wake up to one thing, another thing, and then don't eat certain things, then something is possible. I have been reducing the anesthesia, the down and under stuff, and being more woke, until I've come to movementless yoga. And what does Poornapragnya mean? What does it mean to be awoke? And then I'm at the effect of other people. For example, different practices that are already there, and that affects my staying woke. Yeah, and then there is, for example, Mr. Elon Musk. He's been talking about the woke mind virus. He may just have woken up a little enough to see people are a little asleep. We are not quite as informed as as we need to be. He may have just woken up a little more than other people. Yeah, and so he's saying there's a woke mind virus that's dulling our sense and sensibilities. So he has a point. Now I'm speaking about now woke. Yeah, because I'm talking about a different paradigm on what it means to be human. Yeah, and artificial intelligence is in many ways attempting to copy what is, for example, robotics. Emulating what the muscles do, or how a human body moves, and then to 10x it. But the thing is, we don't really know what the human body is made of, and then we are emulating what we are seeing of it, copying it to come to. Maybe it's also an attempt to understand what does it mean to be human. Consciousness looking at itself through this object of a robot, and then studying, and then, so you can do this. So this is also what a human composition is made up of, a human being is made up of. So by reflection, to look at themselves instead of like a mirror, through these objects, and what is possible in making this, we are kind of reflecting on what we are. What does a human body have? What is the design of a human make? Now what I'm talking about is fast track advanced. Yeah, homeostasis, safety. People have a way of reducing all the complex to, it's not so much, we are getting there, we are right there, because if you think that there is so much more, you might lose it. So for safety, it's like having a safety valve. We know what you're talking about, because it is safe. You don't want to say it like it's safe for you to get this, because if there is something more, then you're like, what's my state of well-being may not be as very good. So you're getting to what you're talking about. Yeah. But that's why I'm saying my work is like the new internet. It's a new epoch in what it means to be human. Okay? Having said that, spoke about Poornapragnya. Now, I practice movementless yoga, yeah? And in the previous video, I spoke about 8 aspects, 8 forces of life that has been maintaining the cosmos. I call it the Egyptian Ashtanga Yoga. But basically it's, well, Egyptian, they also, the civilization comes from also the Greek, yeah? So there's it's older there, yeah? And then there is the Vedic, the Indic civilization, Indus Valley civilization. So there are civilizations which came about over time. So the 8 is a reference to that line too, Greek, Egyptian, and Hebrew. So there are many facets there. But this kind of brings in perspective at least 8 forces that has been maintaining the cosmos. And when we say yoga, and we are not woke enough to appreciate these different facets. They may seem very complex, yeah? When I'm saying chaos, and we are just getting used to order. What are you talking about? Yeah, we're just bringing things into order after 2 years of pandemic. So we may be dealing with those challenges, and I'm talking about 8 facets. So how to, whether or not we like it, yeah? This is what the world, the cosmos is made of. And then it's about, if you're not woke enough, then we don't know what is this life that we are born into, what is this human body that we have the opportunity, the blessing to have, to live, and why are we born with a human body, yeah? So these are questions, these are also answers, solutions which medicine intelligence is making available, which forwards life, moves life forward from how things have been hitherto. Like what happened when the internet came, how we are interacting now as an economy versus during the paper times, mails, and how was life then to what became possible after the internet came into existence. So consider it's a forward of how life has been lived, and this has happened over many times. For example, English had to form, internet had to form, yeah, and then the pandemic also had to happen, because now we have a better appreciation of health, a better focus on what health is. Now, if I had spoken about health before the pandemic, it was just given that what's being safe, being sanitized, and all of that. That it's grandmothers and mothers have been talking since donkey's years, but then who's been listening, yeah? And we have had a list of diseases. Now there's more focus on health, yeah? There's a little more alert, pay attention to. So now I can speak in terms of health, yeah? So there have been many movements which has come about until now I'm speaking this, yeah? So, and then I'm also faced with different challenges. For example, technology. What you can see is just my face. While we are more used to more images and lot of sounds and by which to understand a concept. We have a multimedia education system that we are kind of used to from the television and different print media also. One is monotonous. When you have it all colored, movie, you're getting it. So there is those ideas. Now, why am I saying all of this is, since 2005, I kind of took a deep dive, and and I started looking into society and what does it mean to be, what is missing, the presence of which would make a difference in being human, in being alive, in being humane, in being in love, and being on this side of life. Like why do people die has been an inquiry since some time. Or how did they die? So why do people die? So those also inform my work. Meanwhile, this question of why do people go have economic struggles also came about in the course of, I'm a health facilitator, then also looking at why do people die, and then in between came why do people have economic concerns? Why do we have this, this strata? So this came about in the course of my inquiries. Now, since 2005, I've been studying more decidedly, because until then I was all crossed and nicely life is just fine. Yeah, and then I had a moment, got like my cup of life got deeply stirred, and then I had to look at what am I, why am I here, who am I, how am I related to anybody. So my orientation, relationships, everything got a nice little stir. Then I had to relook at what things are, who people are, and so where am I, why am I here? Existential questions. So it's like a fast track. I've been having a fast track into discovering what it means to be human. Yeah, because the fabric of time and space has been healing since some time, until I'm here and then having these thoughts, and then so my enterprise, this new facet in what it means to be human, the new internet. So I started practicing therapy, started a dedicated therapeutic course, learning to be a therapist in 2013, when I actually started healing the fabric of time and space. I started making actual contact with a human being, and then from a therapeutic perspective, actually healing the human body, active. I've been in medical transcription for 19 plus years, including my practice since 2013 to 2020, January. I've been also working as a medical transcriptionist, quality assurance. And then simultaneously, morning 9 hours job, and then evening I would practice as a clinician. And then 2020 Jan, I came into full-time this work because of so much of potential and scope. And I mean, it's like a crime for me not to be studying what I'm seeing. Yeah. So then it became a existential necessity that I deep dive into it, study this, and then make the values available, and then perspectives, and it's an entire enterprise. Yeah. So I have so many years of experience, 10 years, 2013 onwards, active experience of healing the fabric of time and space. And then I have been, since my work, because of my history, also my familial history, my genetic make is different. Every family comes from their own lineage, and hence the information that a person encodes in our DNA, and the different experiences we have, that also informs. That's the epigenetics. Affects how we make choices, what we like, what we don't like. So then there's the Mendelian line of how family tree comes about, how inheritance comes, Mendelian inheritance. There's also the Lamarckian inheritance. Then there is natural selection, Darwinian theories of evolution, of also how a human body comes, what choices we make. Then there is Sigmund Freud's work, yeah, about the conscious, subconscious, unconscious mind. Yeah, and then the superconscious, supraconscious. So all of this forms what a human being is. Yeah. So the study is quite intense, kind of deep through these perspectives. And then there is the study of non-violence. Different people, why has non-violence been more preferred and more lauded versus generations of violence-based practices? So why has non-violence been, why have these people been regarded great? They've also been regarded as leaders of their work, and many people have lived because of it, because of non-violence. So I had to study the victim-perpetrator. Then I came to, there's another one, there's a drama triad versus winner triad. So there are many inquiries that's gone into this. Then there is a SWOT analysis. What betters a person's self-improvement process. So why do people, why do some people do better than others? Yeah. So what is that they are employing? So self-improvement. And then, so I happen to be studying life through these facets. And then there is, nature also has been doing many organizations. For example, the honeybee organization. There is the societal organization, monkeys, for example. Then there is the lichen and the fungus. So I have a tree here that's reminding me of that, So the cooperative society, lichen and fungus, algae and fungus, yeah, together to form the lichen. So nature has been offering many cooperative societies, live and let live, and so nature has been doing nature's own experiment on what best works and why do some system work. So there have been how all of these have been complementary and contributing to each other. And then we have the planet, we have Earth as an alive planet, yeah, and then many planets warmed by the same sun, yeah, and still we have only Earth having the capacity to live in life. We can live only on Earth. So what makes Earth unique? So I've studied that. So from all of this, and then I came to yoga, and then I see people are doing what I was say what seemed like contortionism. People are doing many kinds of postures. It seemed like contortionism because I saw some videos of contortionists, and then I'm seeing so there is yoga people practicing it, and then they are also taking time for meditation and breath work. And so I was studying the breath work, different kinds of breath practices, and I'm thinking, why did we have 2 years of pandemic when we had so many breath work practices? Because if that was working, we should not have had the common cold. But then common cold has been like the holy grail. Because I read it somewhere that the common cold is the holy grail, the physicians, to cure it. So there have been some things which have not found solutions in some time. Why am I saying all of this? In the course of facilitating clinical work since 2013, since my perspectives of appreciating health while I was making in-person contact therapy, healing the fabric of time and space, and how I'm saying healing while I had training as a therapist, student practitioner, and then over time I got certified as a therapist, and then practicing, and then I had to come to what's the difference between therapist, practitioner, healer, physician, doctor, physiotherapist. So there are these different terminologies, nurse, and so I had to kind of differentiate what is the difference between all of these. It's not just words, but they seem to be distinctions. Yeah. So I had to come to what is healing, and there are so many facets of medicine, allopathy, Ayurveda, many facets, and then what really cures a concern, and what are the common points by which healing is happening, and not just one form of condition, problem becomes another problem, and then people are calling it as side effects, collateral effects. So what really cures something? What really gets people out, discharges a person from the title of a patient to they're no longer a patient? So what really cures it? What really discharges a patient? Discharge a person from the title of the patient. So those inform also my work that I'm calling as original humane intelligence, medicine intelligence. So I've been mentioning that, the 6 blind men and the elephant. Yeah. So our 6 senses, our basics has been, basics, 6 blind men, 6, has been not as well as it needs to be due to many reasons. Also because of language concerns, also because mass communication, communicating the same idea across boundaries, many concerns. And also because, for example, crocin and the different medicines have been taken, so we've been in different levels of mummified states, yeah? A little bit anesthesia, under the fog, and the pandemic just a little bit woke us up to several facets that we don't already know. And this, during the course of my clinical practice, has been awakening me from while I've been also facilitating health for people. Life has been awakening me to several facets of what life is. I just had a fast track wake up moment, yeah, to different facets of pragnya, yeah, consciousness, and then came to conscience. I became conscious of many facets that I didn't know about, And then I came to conscience. What the implicate order. I read the book, David Bohm's Implicate Order. But I recognized that what I was seeing in my clinical practice, he has written a book of. And there have been many people talking in terms of the mind, body, spirit, consciousness connection. And now I was seeing conscience is not being spoken as much. And right from 2005, around there, conscience has been a very deciding factor for me to move by. And I was seeing that people are talking in terms of consciousness, but not quite in terms of conscience. As a conscience is not known, or not worth talking about, or they don't know what to talk about that as. Maybe that's conscience has been in many levels of fog. We can't even talk about all of that, And then we hear about Judgment Day and the whole hell and heaven, and it's a complete chaos. Yeah? So how to deal with that? Then we're talking about karma and dharma, and it's like, don't even talk about all of that. We can't even think about it. They don't exist. Yeah? The grapes are sour. So it's those kinds of, we have enough to deal with. We don't want to talk about all that. Go on your spiritual path. Those are for spiritual and religious people. For old people, when people go old after retirement, then they go into these spiritual quests, So these are all words from those sects. We're all the young generation, yeah? It's not time. This is not what we have to think about. And corruption and diseases and old age, young people, how they take care of old people, and these concerns continue. So diseases in the society, discomforts in being human, humanity cross boundaries, generation gaps, and these strifes and struggles continue. So while facilitating clinical work therapeutically in my clinical practice, my body is affected by all of this stuff that's happening in a person's body. Yeah? So I've been doing all of these studies, and my body is affected by what's happening in people's body. Because their circles, their circadian rhythms are moving by these different concerns, which the majority of humanity is also facing, which cultures, ethnicities, male, female. So females have different circadian rhythms, males have different circadian rhythms, and the health of children have different circadian rhythms, elderly people have different circadian rhythms. And all of this rhythms, health in a person is affected by what's also happening in society, in ethnicities, in nationalities, in gender, in religious concerns, beliefs, emotional experiences, intelligence, intellect, how it's affected by all of this. So what it means to be human, what does it mean to be conscious? What does consciousness mean? I've been having a fast track look into what does it mean to be human? Yeah, and then so that continues from also with my inquiry of what is missing in being human, in being humane, in being alive, in being in love, in being in this side of life. Yeah, so what keeps a person ticking? So did I come to become a healer, or I was just born with these questions, and then this is where you're going to find your answers best. Yeah, and so I was born to find answers to these questions, and now I'm still solving it. So I found these things, and now I better talk about this to people. It's like I've been, lot of stuff, and people have been like seeking for answers for these problems since a long time. Yes, wanting solutions to these questions and many kinds of things. Stress, relationship, existential concerns, at least. Health, wealth, wisdom, yes. Yoga, humanity cross boundaries. Okay, so it's like a whole world of laundry list of how much we need to address. And I have solutions. So sooner you contact me, we will be also helping you be awake to what it means to be human. What's this blessing in having a body that's human and a life that's human. So while my body has been affected by people going through all of these different concerns, and I've been having sessions, therapy sessions with many people, I was not studying or experimenting or any of this. I'm seeing all of this. Is anybody else seeing? And it's like, even if I ask questions, they're like, even while I was a student, when I was asking questions, they are like, where are your questions coming from? Because it's like, I'm asking the fifth question to what they haven't even thought about as, the first answer that needs to be there. And I was asking the fifth question to the first answer. Where are your questions coming from? So this was the response I was getting while I was a student. So now I'm seeing all of this, and if I mention anything, they would say a lot of things. So it's more like I was excommunicated, because I'm asking questions they are not ready for. You're too much, yeah. And my introduction to shamanism teacher, she said, there's too many things happening in your head. You're not ready for this course, yeah. So I got a little excommunicated, the outsider, yeah. So I had to look around. It's like in the movie WALL-E. This one person, two people got out of the zombie, and then they are seeing this is not what the bubble is, people. Earth is there, yeah. And then Ava, and then they discover WALL-E, who's been cleaning up stuff, and then life, which they have been waiting for Earth to be habilitated enough. So all that stuff. I just happen to be woke, yeah, and I'm looking at stuff, and everybody's in different stages of this. And now I'm talking about Poornapragnya, yeah. So I'm on Earth, and we're all on Earth. Oh, great, yeah. So this is human rehabilitation. So we don't have to go to, like Mr. Musk has been talking about, Mars. I don't think so, yeah. So this is while being on Earth. Now let's wake up, and then what is possible in being human, what is possible in being alive, and in love, and on this side of life. Okay, so what have I been doing? What have I been up to? Yeah. So I continue to maintain my body being human and humane, which means I keep healing violence in my body, which means I keep decontaminating, detoxifying earth, water, fire, air, spirit, space. Okay? So my circadian rhythms are getting healthier. And it's like a little bit of a butterfly effect. Because if you see in Van Gogh painter, his pictures, he makes a lot of swirlies. So all these circles are connected. There's this study called fractals, and these are all patterns. Van Gogh, circle, drawings. All these circles are connected. So while I'm talking about circadian rhythms, it's a butterfly effect. Yeah. So while I have been awake, because I also have a human body through morphic resonance. Yeah. Because my bones are related with this species of humans who have the bones, the skeletal structure, which is also formed from many eons of evolution to the structure that we have. Consciousness, the conscience of consciousness, that's been affecting the conscience of consciousness. Yeah, the ocean of consciousness, the ocean of conscience. Truth GPT is something which Mr. Elon Musk is working on. He should be contacting me. Because it's original humane intelligence. It's a whole lot of work. Yeah, this is a new internet. So, now, so it's a bit like an orchestra. I'm maintaining my body being human and humane. And sometimes I'm working on my hand. Sometimes I'm working on my skeleton. One bone of my skeleton. Or I'm working on my smiley. Yeah. Or I'm working on the color of my eye. Yeah, from yellow. It used to be more yellow. Now it's more white. Yeah. Or the alignment of my teeth. Taking care of my teeth, tension. And so I have been straightening out what it means to be human, because there could be stress and pressure and all of this stuff, and then I need to de-stress and then be healthy enough. Otherwise I would get osteoporosis, like that. Yeah, so I had to shake it off, like the Whomping Willow of Harry Potter. But I cannot do that way, but then I'm also human. Yeah. There are reflexes that I have. And what happens during all of this time with also the circadian rhythms? And then I discover how to move, yeah, just like the internet. Now we have with the HTML and all nice, smooth, and then click of a button, and you're talking about how fast is the information going, yeah. So now we're talking about terms. Earlier it is go round, round, round. Yeah, the message is going, you know, wow, yay, yay, from one computer to another computer connected, yay, you know, human success. To now, click of a button is how fast is it going. And then you're talking about, it's slow, yeah. So we have these problems after somebody figured out how to connect one computer to another, yeah. So it's like that, yeah. And I'm talking about 8 forces that maintains life, cosmos, yeah. And I have known this since some time, yeah. In the course of facilitating therapy, healing, therapeutic work, I hadn't yet come to healing then, but I was seeing different facets of life, and then I was studying, figuring out what in the world does these words and different kinds of things mean. And I also studied 2 years in my foundational course, and then did post-graduation courses. I had to figure out what in the world did I study, you know. See, go to school, then you have a graduation certificate, and then using the skills that you learned in your school, according to how well you have learned, is your employability. Yeah, somebody employs you for a job based on how skilled you are, yeah. But if you didn't go to school, you would not have those skills to begin with. And then it's about how well have you learned it, how skilled have you become from what you've learned. I have this training, learning, and I also have the certificate that says I'm good enough to clinically practice. And then I have to figure out what do I have, yeah? What did I learn? There is all these terminologies, but why does health improve from this? What if I do that happens? And if I do this, I don't want that to happen, yeah? So, but why are people continuing to have, you know, they do one thing, but side effects, collateral things. And I've been studying these different observations from also my community, you know, I studied biodynamic craniosacral therapy. So I'm also in touch with that community. So I've been studying what is the problems, what's the challenges. You know, I don't have to go through all of this. I can only just pay attention to what people are doing. And then I can see they are facing these problems as a community. So I'm not alone here, but why are they facing that? You know, what are they doing because of which that is happening instead of this happening? So I had to study all of that, and then I figured, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. And then it came to, this is enough. And then I figured, why is it I'm doing? This is enough. And then I'm seeing a whole range, a whole spectrum of benefits, manifestation? Well, a whole range of effects that people are, that I've been noticing when they come for sessions with me. And I found it is unfair to call it BCST, though it is BCST. I found it is advanced BCST. Because this is what Dr. Sutherland, the founder of BCST, has been talking about. And we are like, you know, it's like there's a founder, and then you figure out what in the world did the person do. It's like the beginner's luck. They call it the beginner's luck. Just for an example, you do something and then something works. And then you have to figure out, to make that happen again, you got to figure out what did you do to begin with that happened. So we have a person who, Dr. Sutherland, he began something so beautiful that he started an entire teaching system, yeah. And and then the future students, they always have to look back at where they came from, yeah. So I had to look at, what did he do? What are these greats doing? What, you know, why does it happen? So it's like, you know, a student of painting, when they're studying all these masters, then they get better at their work. So I've been studying my teachers, and then there are yoga practitioners, and then shamanism, and so many schools of study, yeah. There are greats everywhere. And my questions are quite fundamental. So I have answers. Yeah. What better to do? What not to do? Yeah. So these also inform my circadian rhythms. So while I'm taking care of different parts and maintaining being human, I'm teaching how to take care of your own body. So why did I start this is, a human body, a human being is an n-dimensional being. So we may be familiar with 2 dimension, 3 dimension, 4 dimensions. People are talking in these terms. And then there are also conversations about the 5th dimension and what is power, how's your consciousness and all of that stuff. I'm talking about n dimension. And n dimension is like en route, on the journey, on the infinite journey. So go beyond numbers. After some point I went beyond numbers. So how many dimensions? While you're talking about 5th dimension, I'm talking about nth dimension. So, and I have a lot of circadian rhythms. My cells, my tissues, my bones, my blood. Also, because I keep also cleaning my blood. So, and then different. It's. But what I'm talking about is I'm healthy. And people don't know how to be healthy, and I teach how to be healthy, so that you also have your time and space come together, so you're not living in duality, mind to spirit to body, work, life, relationships, and so many things, and how to keep it together, and not have a disease, not be stressed. Relationship concerns don't be there. Existential angst, who am I, how do I belong in this whole stuff, this whole scheme of things, and then we also have the rainbow concerns now, LGBTQ. There's a whole stream of words. Let's just call them rainbow community. Rainbow gender. And then those concerns. And then what is hell and heaven? And I figured an answer to all of that. I found a simple answer for all of that. Advaita, singularity. And people are scratching their head on what the hell that means. But I have a simple solution to all of that. Movementless yoga. Course correction counseling. Small little steps without having to demolish anything in your life. And you come together, and then it's all a beautiful life. You're on the highway, not going a bumpy ride. Okay. Not the roller coaster stuff. So I had to say that. And I also mention this because I notice people are, for example, through yogic practices. I've been mentioning this on my podcast, where people are, bouncing off of my field, astral projection and travel to see what are you seeing, what's your visualization, what are you hearing, what's your experience. So this is what you're doing, like they are living in my body and then experiencing what I'm experiencing, and then talking about, so this is what you're doing, while it's an interpretation, a perspective from one of the 6 senses. It's usually one of the 6 senses. Either they are seeing, or they're hearing, or they're feeling, or they're knowing. Apparently they're knowing, but it's all or the different sense and sensibilities, and it also depends on how woke they are. If they are in different levels of anesthesia and have no idea what it means to see, for example, they're busy visualizing. And I'm saying Nirvana yoga, limitless yoga, no visualization, no mantra sounds, no use of things, not even moving a muscle. No crystals and all of that stuff. Only yoga. You're not even bothered with a good nice mat and how be dressed and then follow these kinds of rituals, and none of it. It's artless art. And while I'm talking with you, I'm actually practicing yoga, which is why I'm saying what I'm saying. Otherwise I'd be losing it. So lose track of what I'm saying. And I'm also speaking, so if you've noticed a rhythm in how I'm going there and then coming back to the topic and then going there, I'm also speaking in terms of my circadian rhythms. So there's a cyclical pattern, there's a cycle by which I'm speaking this. And this has been what is called as circular breathing. The yoga texts, people practice circular breathing, do this and then 4-part breathing, and no, the body is made up of so many circadian rhythms. And then what it takes to keep your rings together, to be the lord of the rings. Your circadian rhythms is also rings. They go round and round. So that's also what's called as circular breathing. And people have been trying to communicate this through the textbooks. Different people have been successful in different ways, but communication across boundaries concerns. Language, for example, we had to have a common language. and then I'm speaking mais. So yeah, there are challenges, but this is the new internet. Yeah, it's taken a lot of human evolution movements for me to be speaking what I'm speaking, and my enterprise to be making available yoga, yeah, and what it means to be human, humanity across boundaries. So my concerns had to come through many generations of concerns until I'm looking at things and, you know, this is missing, this is not there, this can be done, actually this can be done simpler. And then I had to, it's called Paschatapa Karma, you know. So what people have been talking in terms of repentance, and I'm saying you don't actually have to go through torture for that. There's another simpler, easier way, and this is a normal, ordinary, everyday living thing. So it's like the kitchen, the cooking happens. So it's called as tapas, and people have been like cutting tapasya, you know, severe penance and all of that. Doesn't have to be like that, yeah. There is a simple everyday way to do that. Simple method, and over time you get it. Not having diseases, not having economic concerns, not dying, yeah, get it. It's a very simple way. For the simple to come, you have to go through so many circles, so many complexes, and then simple comes, no? So that simple is what I'm offering, yeah. And I answer questions, no problem with answering questions, because over time I have been this doubt asking machine. People call me a doubt asking machine because I would ask a lot of questions, and then I discovered people have a difficulty asking questions. So even if you're going to ask one question, no matter how silly, that's a question which has not been asked. At least you didn't ask it, yeah. And maybe the question that you ask, a lot of people have not asked. And when you ask it, I will answer it. I have no problem with answering questions. I won't tell shoo, go off, or I will lead you to somewhere where you can get it in depth. I will answer your questions. No problems with that. Yeah, no problems with that. So when you ask a question, a lot of people's question also get answered. Okay, so then we get clarity. Many people get clarity. This concern, stress, relationship, many worldwide problems, they find, yeah, relief, resolution. So I answer questions, yeah, no problems with that. So please ask, yeah. There's no silly question, and there is no silly answer also. Actually, I may be saying I also go with challenges. For example, I'm also dealing with my circadian rhythms. So when you can be a little patient, then I would answer it in a way that you can understand. Yeah? Okay, I will word it as closely as possible for you to understand, but I will answer your question, and I will keep answering it till you get the matter. Yeah, so I have no problems with that. Earth has been teaching infinite patience. Yeah? So I have no problems with that. So until your question is answered, I will keep paraphrasing, trying many things, and meanwhile you might think you're too much information. But slowly I would be answering a question. Yeah? And that happens. That's how I've been facilitating therapy, you know, clinical work. I'm here talking about this on this video because over time I have been answering questions and then providing solutions, so that life also has circadian rhythms. You know, wind has circadian rhythms, fire has circadian rhythms, earth has circadian rhythms, air has circadian rhythms. Okay, wind, air, earth, water, fire, air, spirit, space, all have circadian rhythms. So we've been doing round, you know, microcosm, macrocosm, different, you know, mangoes, round. So I've been answering questions and providing solutions. So now ancestors are like, now talk to younger generations, talk to different people, because what I'm saying is making sense. And over time, as I'm encouraging people to also ask questions, talk, we will get clarity. Yeah, we have English, we also have the internet. Slowly we'll get clarity. So Poornapragnya is not an option. Yeah. So being woke awakens you to what's the wealth in being alive. Yeah, there's a lot of treasure. Yeah, all in many places hidden. It may be right in front of your eyes, but you can't see it. So if you're going to be like half awake, what is right in front of your eyes you can't see. So you got to be awake enough, woke enough. So I help, so you can discover what you already have, and then you also become healthy, wealthy, wise. Yeah, the way I'm talking about as being healthy, wealthy, wise. Because a lot of people are asking questions in terms of what is Advaita, singularity, and how to not have diseases, how not to be poor, and how not to die. Yeah, so a lot of questions and concerns. So let's get started. For starters, you have the comment section below, so I do check them. Put your questions there, or you could also find my contact details on my website. Yeah, I'll put my website link, and so comments is there, the contact details on my website is there. Yeah, let's get started. Thank you so much for your attention. Love.